I realized that my mother wasn't who I thought she was.
It's the newest development in the murder case against Gypsy Blanchard and her boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn. Gypsy's mother apparently kept Gypsy in a wheelchair, making up her illnesses and disabilities.
Gypsy's mom was abusing her physically, medically, giving her medication she didn't need, having her go through procedures that she didn't need, to the point where most of Gypsy's teeth are not even hers because of the medication that her mom was giving her that she had no condition for. We are really trying to get a sense of the overall picture and to find out exactly how widespread Gypsy's, her mother's control was over her.
As soon as I was aware of the case, I started searching the internet and trying to acquire all the information I could. And it became one of the least difficult cases I've ever seen in establishing this as much as my proxy, which is when people make others under their control either sick or lie about their illnesses or exaggerate their illnesses, all to get some kind of emotional gratification for themselves.
Young lady, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and her mother, Dee Blanchard, from Springfield, Missouri, to this day.
Dee was a woman of fairly few accomplishments. There were relatively few things that distinguished her from the run-of-the-mill person, and that didn't suit her. So, having a sick child gave her a sense of identity, which was of the indefatigable, heroic caregiver who left others breathless with the excellence of her child rearing.
And I always said, "You're the reason I was born to be your mama."
It all makes sense now. You know, why she kept Gypsy at such a distance from me all of these years, why they moved so far away. She didn't want Gypsy to develop any kind of relationship with anybody that might take her away from her. I felt so stupid. Like, why couldn't I see through this? Why is all I kept asking myself.
I've seen, at this point, hundreds of cases, but every once in a while we see a case that veers into what we call malingering by proxy, where the perpetrator is after financial remuneration, and I think they were combined in this case.
Over the years, Dee and Gypsy Blanchard received money and assistance from a long list of charities across the nation. Churches in their hometown of Thibodaux, Louisiana, held fundraisers.
The amount of money that Dee scammed through people, different organizations, surely it's in the thousands and thousands of dollars. Dee scammed me personally for at least $150,000 between unnecessary medical expenses and child support that I continued to pay after she turned 18.
Dee wasn't a stranger to the law. She shoplifted. She was wanted for writing bad checks. She stole from many people. She would get so many credit cards underneath my dead mother's name and run up the bills like crazy. She was going to do anything, anyway, anyhow to get her way.
All of this combined really altered my view of Dee. I mean, once I started realizing the extent of what she did and her actions, I started realizing how cruel she was and how she allowed her daughter to be essentially tortured.
They moved to Thibodaux, which is 45 minutes away. A couple of years later, they moved to New Orleans, a couple hours away. As she got older, they moved further and further and further away. It got harder and harder to see her. I'd go to their house and visit a couple hours, hang out. But when Gypsy and I would start building a little closeness, a little bond and everything, it'd be 3 or 4 months before we can get back together and rebuild upon that. It seemed like Dee was never letting us build that father-daughter relationship that you're supposed to have with your children. And Katrina hit in 2005. They were relocated to Missouri. That's 11 hours away. By that point, she let me talk to Gypsy on the phone whenever I wanted and everything, but she said a visit was pretty much out the question. I never raised any really hard questions with Dee Dee because she still allowed me to talk to her when we called and keep some kind of relationship. I knew that if I raised any serious questions or issues, she could cut me off in a minute. So the relationship we had was mostly just phone calls, gifts, birthday cards, stuff like that. Just wanted to try to make her feel like, I'm going to be here for you forever, waiting. One day you're going to call me and say, hey, Dad, it's Gypsy. Can you come see me or something? I was just hoping for that day to come, and it never came.
And I didn't think that I had anyone to trust. I couldn't trust Aaliyah because my mother was starting to put things in my head that Aaliyah wasn't my true friend and that she was a bad influence on me, so I couldn't be friends with her anymore. And I didn't reach out to my dad because I grew up with my mom saying all these horrible things about him, that he abandoned us, that he didn't love me or her, that he didn't want anything to do with me. So I thought he wouldn't care, so why reach out to him?